to the mortician. I gotta do what I gotta do. That's for my face, that's for my face. I gotta do what I gotta do. I pray to God, he never came. I'ma do me, I'ma do me. That's in my blood, I never change. That's in my blood, I never change. That's in my blood, I never change.
Welcome to the Corona Post Show for the Rip Curl Narrabeen Classic. What a day. Unbelievable drama going down here at North Narrabeen with gigantic upsets, and the sand is just trying to get settled here. Let's see what we have for a potential finals day tomorrow. The waves did improve throughout the afternoon, and that was really welcomed as we'll dive into our final eight for the men and women. We'll be crowning our champions very soon. Thanks for being with us on the Harvey Norman host set. Joe Turpel, Richie Lovett, and Stace Galbraith. Rich, you were breaking down the forecast for us last night, and it was really nice to see it get pretty clean and rippable this afternoon.
This morning was a blessing, and we turned up. The water was perfectly groomed with this light little offshore wind, and we had these beautiful peaks. Our swell lines are broken up a little bit with lots of opportunity. It was a great day of surfing. Each day we go, it was amazing, and I don't think it could get any better, and it did. It absolutely did.
It certainly did. Let's not waste any time, Stace. Great to see you. What a beautiful day. Upset City kicking things off again with Morgan Ciblic first. I mean, back-to-back wins over John Florence. Did you see that coming?
Weirdly enough, I wouldn't say I saw it coming, but I always knew that matchup was going to be extremely competitive. I think John has improved out of sight, as you see there, in the small waves. But as you've seen from Morgan, he was one of the form surfers at the event at Newcastle, and the waves had a sort of similar vibe about them, and Morgan's scrappy. He got up and got going, and I think one of these turns coming up is one of the better backside re-entries I've ever seen.
We haven't seen anyone go back-to-back in events taking out John since Kaio did it in 2016, and it's a rookie from Merriweather. That backside fin throw was one of the waves of the matchup, Rich.
It's possibly the best backhand turn I've seen, which is, I was going to say on the face, but it wasn't actually, and I think Barton summed it up perfectly. It was an aerial and a re-entry all in one, and he did it with such speed and such commitment, perfect control, and well, he got that wave under John's priority as well, which was just, you know, amazing in itself. But to do it once is incredible. To do it twice is downright amazing.
What a statement for Morgan Ciblic again on a finals day as a rookie. He was kind of shadowed by Jack Robinson. Well, that's all gone as he's built his profile quickly. Upsets continued, but nothing more dramatic than what we saw with Italo Ferreira and Connor Coffin. World number one has been on fire, coming off that huge win, and he's been using that secret weapon, that big full road, usually to his advantage. This time, it didn't go his way, Stace.
No, not in this particular exchange. You know, to be honest, I was pretty impressed with Connor's performance in the sense that he didn't get sucked into Italo's game at all. He stuck to what he knew his strengths were, and it came out for him. It was a matter of Italo probably not making that first air, as we see one of his sort of setup rides to get in the heat here, but Italo had, by his standards, a fairly straightforward air section at the end of that heat. He couldn't pull that off. I think if he lands that, it's a different story. And then obviously this is what's sending the internet into meltdown mode at the moment. I was speaking with Tom Carroll up in the sand dunes, and he said to me, let's go down, let's get 2 meters away from the action. I want to see Italo do a huge air. It was almost like Tom called it. We did that. We were standing right there, and we kind of both just looked at each other and went, oh, that's a shame.
Well, the crazy part is this thing was then tied with their highest two scores. So when Connor had this wave with 5 seconds to go, he only needed a 4-ranger, because then we were trying to break the tie on 2 scores, going to a third wave, Rich. You don't see that every day.
No, that was a pretty unique situation, and you can see Italo, well, he clearly thought that he made the air and just letting the emotions fly there. But, you know, Connor, a very similar approach to Morgan Ciblic. Those really, really critical backhand turns with speed, precision, kept the flow, kept the consistency between the manoeuvres, and, you know, he came out on top, and I think they'll be debating that one at the water hole, whether it was a make or not for years to come.
I think we're going to do it right here.
Okay.
Right now. Are we ready for this? I'm going to start with your take first, Rich, then we'll go to Stace. Was this complete?
Put me in the hot seat, Joe.
Kick things off for us.
Can I say this? Did he make the air? Yes. Did he make the wave? No. Does that make any sense to you? So, he got to the landing here, and he stands up, but the momentum of the wave didn't carry him along, so he didn't ride out of the foam. So I know I'm actually sitting on the fence on this one, but I think it's a good answer in that he made the air, but he didn't make the wave.
And for score-wise, Stace, you were on the beach, so you're seeing it live just as the judges review it. You mentioned your opinion earlier. I want you to restate it again.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's unfortunate. We want to see this type of surfing in heats. We all do. We love it. It's exceptionally difficult. It's entertaining. That's why we come to watch surfing. But this is the top level. These guys and girls are the best of the best. And for me, it's a no. And it might be the unpopular opinion at this stage. But I'm gonna stick with it. I think the judges, if anything, with these types of manoeuvres, are very consistent in this scenario. Earlier in the year, late last year, we had the Countdown series up at Cabarita. Jack Robinson did something that was nearly identical to this, and he didn't get the score. Owen Wright the other day, I felt, was held back in his score for not riding out of a wave. And here we are. The boys upstairs are keeping it pretty consistent, although they're probably shuffling out of the booth pretty quickly this afternoon. There's a fair bit of chat around the event site.
I think they're just making it very clear that whatever air you do and wherever you land on the wave, they want to see you stand up and ride with control for a number of seconds before they're going to reward it as a make. So it's pretty clear what they're saying.
And like you're saying, it's very consistent. We go back to Europe, Portugal, it happens all the time, where if you're not riding away with control, you're not getting credit for it. And it is very unpopular because these are the moves that the beach erupts, especially when it's world number one and when he's on this hot streak. I mean, he was obviously devastated. Timmy Patterson's board in millions of pieces now because of that decision. I mean, Italo, he was having a hard time moving on from that decision.
Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow for Italo today, and I was actually down on the sand watching it as well, Stace, and he had no business doing what he did on that section. It was just so powerful, and it kind of blew me away that he actually landed on his board and was able to stand up on his feet. But yeah, again.
So there we go. Settling in on the Corona Post Show. Right call. Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Quickly, us two, maybe. See what happens when we step outside. I had a loose chat with a few of the Brazilians down there in the Red Bull Athlete Zone, and they didn't want me to name names, but they were all in divided up. So I think that's surfing. That's why we love it. It's painful to watch Italo and his frustrations. We feel it. Like I said earlier, we all love the way he surfs and what he's going for. My phone has been going off the Richter with a few filmmaker friends all saying, well, that's an A-clip. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. It is an A-clip. For sure it's an A-clip.
But we're not making a movie here. We're trying to win events. Yeah. I like that. I love the breakdown, Stace and Rich. That was brilliant. Let's look at the quarterfinals potentially for tomorrow as we think about the bracket. Italo on the bad side. Good news for Connor, though. How clutch has he been when it comes down to those buzzer-beater moments? He continues to prove himself under pressure to put himself into a back-to-back quarterfinal result. He got one at Merriweather. He's never done that in 2 straight events in his career on tour. Yago getting past Jordy. Griffin survived with that crazy punt against Hazelwood. And Frederico will have Ethan Ewing at the top. Medina, I think that's going to be a big heat because world number 2, he's got a huge opportunity to push forward on the leaderboard, but can Morgan do it again, Rich?
Well, he's been a giant killer up to this point, and he's on an absolute mission, and he's on a roll. So if anyone can do it, Morgan Ciblic can. But I really like the look of this bracket. It's not all of the usual suspects that we're used to seeing up there, and we might just see a first-time winner in this event.
Really special to see Morgan's role as a rookie, just doing such a good job in proving that it's no mistake. And Federico Moraes, that was really clutch for him because he had his hands full with Felipe Toledo. I didn't see that coming. My fantasy team took a hit today.
Yeah, so did mine. I've gone from hero to
decimated.
And Toledo almost saved himself in that heat. So he's with having to come in, beautiful hand planing, body surfing form. And Federico, though, did have to answer. Steady Freddy, living up to the expectations again.
Yeah, he certainly did. And I think we can rely on Federico for those type of performances. But I'd also like to tip my hat to Felipe. I feel like nothing went his way in that heat, and he was still ultra competitive. So, it really really did take every ounce of what Freddie could give to get over Philippe, even with the challenges Philippe had to overcome.
And interesting, we're talking about Brazilian Storm dominance. That's changing a bit. Medina now the leader of the charge with a big opportunity to close the gap on Italo. On the women's side, nothing was more brilliant than what Joanne Defay did under the pressure of Tyler Wright being incredibly smart in their start, but also dangerously aggressive. How did Joanne turn this around in the last exchange?
Yeah,
Rich?
well, Joanne's just been in such good form for this whole event. And we started to see, this was the first time really in the event that we've seen Tyler really start to dig in and surf to her full potential. But have a look at this, just Joanne so confident and so strong with that backhand attack. It's been serving her well this whole event. And we saw Tyler just looking at those right-handers, building the scores. It was a really, really tight one.
And Stace, it was interesting, almost kind of like Merriweather, where Tyler identified the alley right. No one had really been surfing it that day. Joanne was on the left by herself, but Tyler was actually winning throughout that heat by making a decision to surf on her forehand.
For sure, and I think that's an example of an athlete, sticking to their strengths and really knowing it. In all seriousness, though, this was Joanne's heat to lose, and I feel like she knew that, and it was nice to see her relax. The lefts were the better shape, and leading into those last final minutes, I'm sure she was pretty antsy to really try and open up like she'd done the day before. She was throwing away scores the day before that would have won her every other heat.
100%. She shook Tyler from priority, got herself that last wave. You saw the look on her face. Joanne might be the most underrated surfer on tour, as she has a heat with Caroline Marks in quarter 3. Fitzgibbons, Tatiana Weston-Webb, that's going to be scrappy. Stephanie Gilmore, Courtney Conlab, that is an old classic. And world number 1, Carissa Moore with Keely Andrew. Interesting that Carissa and Stephanie are opposite sides of the draw too, Rich.
Yeah, this is those quarterfinals exciting. We got some of the big names in there, and then some of the not so big names in there as well. So it's a great opportunity for some of those women to come in and really upset some of the big names. And again, we might see a first-time winner. Just might.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Well, it's time for the Boost Mobile Wave of the Day. It's going to go to current world number 2, a 2-time world champ that was dominating today. How high was this punt on the backhand of Gabriel Medina, Stace?
Oh, these are unbelievable, isn't he? The pop he gets is next level. I chucked one of his boards under my arm at Newcastle. The things are so heavy, but I guess they need to be to not snap in half when he lands like that. That was really cool.
And I guess it's all the surface area that he has, Rich, to get those tough landings. Stomp that thing and got a 9-point ride.
Absolutely. 5'11", 19. They're about 28.5 litres, I think. And I went and checked his boards out too, Stace, and there's a few big old dents in it from where he comes down hard off those landings. So maybe that's why there's a little bit of extra glass on them.
He's going for the old Occy one board, one wax job go as well. There's a lot of wax on those surfboards.
It adds a couple of inches when you look at Oxold boards. Amazing. Great job for Medina getting the 9 into finals day. Coming up next on the Corona Post Show, we've got the top 5, the forecast, and a lot more to discuss. We'll be right back. You're watching the Corona Post Show on a big day of action. We got to dive into the Surfline forecast to see if tomorrow will be finals day, Rich.
Yeah, well, it's looking good at this point, Joe, but of course we're going to get up and in the morning and have a look at first light. But this southerly groundswell that we've experienced through the event so far is going to keep pulsing through over the next few days. And if we look at the wave heights here for tomorrow, 3 to 6 foot, we're talking about wave face height here. And Wednesday and Thursday, you can see the little bump there, but really consistent still. So for me, it's going to be more of the same, and we're going to have those light variable offshore winds in the morning, great conditions, maybe a little sea breeze in the afternoon. But, you know, let's get up and look, because today, I mean, they were beautiful waves and we saw so much action. If it's like that in the morning, well, we might just have finals day on our hands.
It's pretty special. I mean, down in the sand and the competitors there, Stace, I know you're feeling it too. There seems like this motion of tomorrow's looking like a lot of potential to crown some champions.
Yeah, we were surprised this morning, and I think perhaps a little less energy on dark, but certainly the shape was much more suitable to hi-fi ripping. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Rich. There's a few of these waves that none of the competitors have any business even being on, yet they managed to turn them into high scores. And I think Fisher alluded to it earlier. Like you know, for the rest of us, we're just probably having a coffee and checking it for 2 hours. But these men and women, they're out there and they're making it really entertaining. So hopefully one more day of a bit more than what we're expecting, and away we go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the morning. Well, as we know, we've been loving this segment on the post show. Dimity Stoyle goes behind the scenes. Check this out.
Ethan, you've been here for half an hour.
I'm still going. I can't stop now.
You got half a board there. Where did you steal that from?
Jeremy Florence.
Oh, whose signature are you waiting for?
We're waiting for Dina.
What's the secret to big airs?
When you have the ramp, you gotta do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, one of these little 5'9" Monster 20s right here, JS's.
He's managed to find a ride out there in North Narrabeen.
Always. There's always a ride. I tell ya. I've been getting on the uni train, so I've been at home studying between heats and yeah, just laughing on sunshine.
Now you're just in the cheer squad here at Narrabeen.
On the bleachers.
Have you got a problem with John Johnson?
Nah. Go bloody big. You know? I don't know, it's pretty hard to beat, so definitely surfing under my skin.
There we go.
There we go.
Dimity always nails it. I love it. Going behind the scenes and getting the best out of the personalities of all of the competitors on tour. We're absolutely loving it. Now it's time for the top 5 on a pretty dramatic day here at Narrabeen. Starting off at number 5 on the list. Let's go above the lip with Iago Dora. The air show that he put on in the round of 32 against Pedersen Crisanto was phenomenal. Back-to-back punts. That was incredible, Rich.
It was, and when you think of Iago Dora, you think of the aerials, and he certainly brought the action on this morning. You can see just hits the brakes and then accelerates into that one. The full spin, that was just so lofty. Hucks it right around. And a perfectly executed air rotation. Loved watching this kid in the air.
We saw a lot of wipeouts in the morning before Iago just started banking them. Back-to-back punts. He was feeling on fire, and a worthy case for the top 5. Top 4 moment, world champs advance. Carissa really looking sharp today.
For sure. I think that, like she mentioned earlier, she's been working on the, obviously, aerials and going left. And going left today, particularly when her heat was on, was pretty tricky. As you can see why Steph went right.
And got really creative with that start, but that style's got to be one of the best of all time. Did well in these conditions to really make sense of the lineup. The champions, most decorated athletes on the women's tour, moving on. As we get to this top 3 moment, DeFay under pressure to beat Tyler Wright.
She was, and I feel like she's one of the informed women of this event so far. She's been going to that backhand, finding these perfect little lefts, picking the eyes out of it, and really, really going to town, not holding back, critical turns in the pocket. Joanne's on a bit of a roll here.
They've had now 14 heats together. It's wild. What a roll. Number 2, this moment, Italo and Connor in the final exchange, Stace.
Yeah, this was an amazing final exchange, and it was cool to see Connor keep his head, because he obviously had no idea what the scores were, but he knew he needed to keep pushing, and ultimately this ride was the one that sealed the deal for him.
Really cool to see Connor's composure, buzzer beater after buzzer beater. Oh, that hurt. Timmy Patterson just fell over in his chair back home in San Clemente. But Connor on top of the world. First time he's ever made back-to-back quarterfinals. Top moment, the Medina punt, 9-point ride in the grudge match with Kiowa Belly, Rich.
Yeah, well, Medina gets one up on his fellow countryman here, and it was this air that just brought that crowd alive. Just made so lofty, so high. The rotation was unbelievable, the landing difficult, but he stuck it, and then he threw the three-pointer as well just to top it off.
The basketball claims are insane. Gabriel Medina hugs it out with Kio.
I'm really stoked to see that. I think that that's so important. They got to surf. Kio was out-surfed, and Gabriel clearly won that match, and really awesome sportsmanship there, because I think the last time we saw them matched up was unfortunately, it kind of took a nasty angle there at one point. So I think I was really stoked to see those guys just surf it out.
Right. I think, yeah, you're kind of basing it off. There are probably a couple of heats. You know, Hawaii, Portugal, when we're talking about priorities and a bit of drama, all you want to do is see him just go blow for blow. That Medina punt, that 9-point ride, he's kind of keeping that theme. The Merriweather punt he had on the left, now on the right. He's given us the showstoppers in the last two events.
He is, and that's what we're coming to expect from Gabrielle and the greats when every time they hit the water, and Gabrielle just produces it time and time again. The guy never falls.
It's amazing. Now looking at the leaderboard, it's been completely shook heading into finals day with now number one in the world out. Remember, Italo had won the previous 3 out of 4 CT events that were held, so that momentum was stopped. Medina has a big opportunity with all those points on the line. Remember, 10,000 for a win. Kanoa Igarashi still 4th. Ciblic, what a story, as he's still in the top 10 and growing with a chance to maybe pass Ryan Callanan as well. As we look at, finals day coming tomorrow, I mean, our road here on the east coast of Australia is starting to wind down. I mean, what are the biggest takeaways? We knew this was going to be a wild card feel, but did you imagine the top 10 would be looking like this, Stace?
No, it's not starting to wind down, Joe. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. Don't say that. We're only just getting started. But absolutely not. I didn't foresee some of the names that we've got in there. Proud of the performances, though, particularly Morgan. It's really important to start your career with winning early. I know that sounds really boring to say, but it's super important to just find your straps, and if you can do that early, Griffin's done it, Jeremy Flores has done it, Bobby Martinez has done it, and it's so important to set up the rest of your career. So it's good to see Morgan finding some consistency.
Great to see those fresh names standing up, all with the fight for the trophy and that special board that's right next to you, the replica of the thruster Simon made.
If the trophy's not motivation enough, how about this thing from Simon? That's going to look good. I don't think anyone's going to wax it up if they win it. I wouldn't, certainly wouldn't. I'd put it in the corner and just admire it. But yeah, obviously Simon, one of the greatest ever to come out of North Narrabeen, and obviously the inventor of the thruster, and we can all be thankful for him.
What a legend. He's been getting photos, too. He's such a surf fan. He's been getting the best clips throughout this event, and he's so happy that he's going to pass that board on that he won 3 events at. This event, Pipe, Bells, all in the same year, and we're still celebrating 40 years of that 3-fin design.
Absolutely. He's been up in the same seat every day as well, catching all the action. He's enjoying it.
Awesome. Could be finals day first thing tomorrow morning. Join us on worldsurfleague.com for the call at 6:45. So long. We'll see you then.
I'll come right back at ya. You better hope I don't catch ya. When I do, I'm gonna smash ya.
Going for what he's famous for in movie parts.
Now I'm out for blood.
Colapinto, a couple of solid maneuvers already, and we saw the emotion from the world champ Brazilian. Reef looking for the ramp, finds the section to launch off.
It's time for the round of 16 here at the Rip Curl Narrabeen Classic. Carissa Moore getting the first wave. Beautiful snapping turns, 2 of them. Marble wall to work with into her second turn, keeping the momentum going.
Back into it again, goes to the carve, finds some release.
She really needs to do something special here, Joe. It's an 8, and Tyler's not happy.
You couldn't take me out when I was down on my luck. Now I got too much power in every ounce of my blood.
Toledo's on the move, big ramp, and he slips. Board broken.
but behind him on a good-looking wave.
Mariah's belts the lip.
Finds a bigger ramp. This, no! Goes full rotation.
Radical call here. They just said no.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.